We live in a culture where kids are desperate for meaning and value. They're on this incredible search.
Doesn't matter their skin color, doesn't matter their economic status.
They're filling their lives with all kinds of things, trying to belong.
Kids desperately need caring adults that will come alongside them, get right in the middle of wherever they are.
Who love them no matter what. Young Life is caring adults who love Jesus and love kids, and they enter into a kid's world.
Young Life is all about going to where kids are.
We're not waiting for a teenager to come to our building. We come to them.
The Young Life leader comes in, loves them where they are, accepts them right where they are without judgment.
I'm doing life with them, and they get to see how I respond with Jesus in every circumstance.
We've been doing this for a long time. We've been around since 1941. We've got ministries in all 50 states, over 95 countries, and we're not going to stop there.
What I love about Young Life is our true commitment to every kid. Middle school kids, high school kids, college students, kids with special needs, teen moms, teens of military families.
We do a lot of things to invite kids in. We have clubs.
Young Life Club is the 1 hour a week that we gather a lot of kids.
You're gonna have fun, you're gonna be energized, and you're gonna learn that Christ is not boring.
It's a place where your kid can hear more about God, hear more about Jesus, and decide for themselves how they feel about that. In a fun environment and in an accepting environment where people are gonna love them and it's safe.
In the summer, we have an opportunity to take kids to camp, and Young Life Camp is the best week of their lives.
Many of the kids who go to Young Life Camp make lifelong decisions to follow Jesus. And the great thing about Young Life is when we send kids to Young Life Camp, they go with their Young Life leader. And that same Young Life leader who's been with them all year comes home with them.
When I come back from camp and my phone I'm getting text messages from parents saying, I don't know what y'all did with my children at camp, but they are different. You know, when I get that kind of stuff, then that's cool.
We take very seriously the task of teaching them how to follow Christ, teaching them how to pray, teaching them how to read the Bible.
We plug them into a small group of their peers, and we call it campaigners, helping them discover what it means to follow Jesus and encouraging them to plug into a local church.
The vision of Young Life is that every kid will have the opportunity to hear about Jesus.
Every kid deserves to know who God is, deserves to know that somebody loves them.
How can you join this adventure? Because we are moving and we want you to come along.
Hello, thank you so much for joining us for our 18th Annual Banquet Online. We find ourselves in a really unique situation, and I am grateful that you have taken the time to watch. My name is Kevin Seelinger, and I'm the Area Director for Young Life here in the Eastern Panhandle. And we'd hoped to gather with you in person back in March, but that was just not meant to happen. And as you can see, we have spared no expense, i.e. this fancy background, to be with you tonight. I actually have two 9-foot banners in my office that would have looked beautiful on a much larger stage, but it was not meant to be. And if you'd have told me 2 months ago that we would have to alter our banquet plans to meet in person, I wouldn't have believed you. Because for the past 2 out of 3 years now, we have had to change our plans for our banquet. Who remembers 10 inches of snow 3 years ago in March? Yes, that was our banquet night. So it is what it is, but at this rate, I would take 10 inches of snow. But it's been such a blessing to have been sharing Christ with kids so long. Thank you so much for all those who have been really faithful and stood behind us. You really have no idea how much that encourages us. Because really, the work is difficult, but it's good. And here's a few things that I would like for us to celebrate. First of all, God has blessed us with another great year of ministry to high school students. For the last 17 years, we've had a presence at Martinsburg High School. For the past 4, we've had a presence at Hedgesville High School. And now at Musselman High School, Shannon Whitmore, new leader, has been doing a great job at meeting kids on their turf there. We're in the 3rd year of all of our high school clubs meeting together as one at the Holiday Inn every week. And we've averaged 60 to 65 kids last fall. It was a great year. It's been a great year of ministry there. South Wildlife is in its 15th year. I can't believe it. And Jenna Taylor is the South Wildlife alumni that is the team leader there. She's also a full-time social worker, loves those kids at South so well. So many of them coming from really difficult circumstances. North Middle is in its third year and growing. And we have a new team leader there, but more about that in a minute. We're also excited to continue to partner with local youth pastors as we share the gospel of Christ with kids. John Rickman from IBC is the student ministries pastor there, and he joined us at North Middle. And at Spring Mills Middle, which has been going on for 10 years, Billy Hearn has stepped back into the middle school arena to help out with that. I love seeing folks from local churches partner with us to bridge the gap between Young Life as an outreach and the church. And Young Life Capernaum Club is in its second year. Capernaum is our ministry to kids with special needs. It's been awesome to see leaders and buddies sharing Christ with kids with special needs. We've been fortunate enough to see kids kind of grow up and grow through Young Life and move into leadership positions. Some here, some outside of here. At WVU right now, we have 3 leaders working with ministries there. Kaylee Ruffner and Sarah Brown are working with middle school ministries there, and Emily Butts is a new Young Life college leader working with college students at WVU. If you remember, she's the one who shared at our banquet last year. We got to hear a story of what the Lord's doing in her life. It's so awesome to see God continue to do stuff in kids' lives. My son, Luke Seelinger, is now serving as the team leader at North Middle. He's been doing a great job at learning about what it means to lead a team. And at West Liberty, we have Emily Rudy and Kalin Watkins. Both are serving as leaders in Young Life there, as well as serving in their church. And we're going to have the opportunity to hear from Kalin in just a bit, as she's going to share her story. It's been so encouraging to hear and see what God's been doing in ministry and kids' lives for so long. It would not have been possible if it weren't for our adult committee standing behind us, for our donors standing behind us, as well as leaders volunteering their time, efforts, and energy to work with kids. And right now, we're trying to figure out what a new normal looks like. We're continuing to connect with kids now online, video conferencing, or we even had a live Instagram club last week. But leaders are still trying to earn the right with kids and earn the right to share the hope of Christ with them as kids can understand it. So it's tough, but we're pressing on. But here's the reality. We still need more leaders. Matthew 9:38 says, "Pray to the Lord of the harvest for him to send laborers into the harvest field." So we're asking you, please pray. We would like to see the Lord provide enough leaders to have leaders in every high school and middle school in this county. Because really, kids are desperate, even more so now. Kids are desperate to hear the good news of Jesus. And we want to do what we can to get to the next school, to get to the next kid. And we can do it. The Lord is with us. And so we're really hoping that you will join us. Well, now I'd like to introduce Kalin Watkins. She's a sophomore at West Liberty University in Wheeling, West Virginia. And she has been kind enough to share with us how Christ has changed her life through Young Life.
Hi, my name is Kayla Watkins. I graduated from Martinsburg High School in 2018. This fall, I'll be going to my last year at West Liberty University, which is super exciting. I just want to share a little bit of my story with you guys. So I grew up going to church, but to me, religion just seemed like a ton of rules and expectations I had to live up to. God seemed really far away and not really involved in my life at all. I was a super shy kid, didn't really know who I was, where my place was, or if I had a purpose in life. My freshman year, I went to Young Life Club, and the leaders were just so welcoming and loving, and they just had this light to them. And I remember thinking, I don't know what that is, but I want that. And my Young Life leader was the first one to really tell me about a relationship with Jesus, and she just took me under her wing and showed me what that looked like. And sophomore year, I gave my life to Christ, but I kind of had one foot in, one foot out. I was still trying to find joy in things like relationships, friendships, partying, all of these temporary things that just left me feeling more broken. And I was really confused for a long time, to be honest. It wasn't until the summer after my senior year, I went to serve on work crew at a wildlife camp. And that's when I really realized what it meant to lay down your life, take up your cross, and follow Jesus. And that same summer, I went on my first mission trip to Africa, and my Young Life leader actually got to go with me. And I just realized that my identity is a daughter of the King, and I have this purpose and this life that's rooted in him and that can't be shaken by temporary things of this world. And that just changed my life so much. And I started college in the fall at Wesleyan, and I actually got to start leading Young Life because my heart just broke for high school girls, and I wanted to help them the same way that my Young Life leader helped me, and show them how loved they are and show them what life with Jesus looks like. And it's just changed my life in so many ways. I swear they teach me more about Jesus than I could ever teach them. And God just gave me this heart for ministry for my generation and younger generations. And I'm starting to intern at my church in kids, youth, and college ministries, and just get to see the state and the generation around me just run after Jesus and be transformed. And all glory to God, but I would not be where I am. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if it weren't for Young Life and my leaders in high school showing me what it looks like to have a relationship with Jesus and opening that door for me. So for that, I'll be forever grateful. That's my story. Thanks for listening.
Isn't that great? It has been awesome to see what God has been doing in Kaylin's life. And now she's even interning in her church in ministry. That's fantastic. Well, now I'd love to share with you a parable of Jesus. And it's a lot like Kaylin's story, but really it's our story. It's from Luke chapter 15, the story of the prodigal son. Jesus tells a parable of two sons, and I'd like us to focus on the first. And in this story, a son goes to his father and he says, "Hey, I want my half of the inheritance right now." He's basically saying, "I wish you were dead. I just want your stuff." And in this story, the father grants that request and gives him half of his inheritance. And the kid goes off into a distant land and he spends it on wild, lavish living. For the longest time, I thought that the word prodigal meant rebellious. But what prodigal really means is lavish spending. And you know what? Kids are filling their lives with stuff that won't satisfy now. That's how kids are living their lives. They're trying to find joy in created stuff and not in the Creator as they were designed to. Well, it says that there was a famine in the land that this son was living in, and he finds himself in a really desperate place. If this doesn't describe a lot of kids I know, I don't know what does. In desperate situations with really nowhere to turn. I love that we as Young Life leaders get to be there in those times and places when kids are desperate and they're looking for answers. Well, it says that in the story, it says that the man hires himself out to care for pigs. Working for pigs as a Jewish man would have been an absolute total disgrace and scandalous. So for a man to find him so desperate that he's not only going to work in feeding pigs, but that he's longing to eat what they eat. It doesn't get any lower. But it says, when he comes to his senses, we as Young Life leaders have the opportunity to proclaim to kids their need for a relationship with God. And in that, they now have an opportunity to come to their senses. And some do. And we get to be a part of that. Well, the man thinks to himself, my father's servants, they've got life way better than I do. Why in the world would I stay here feeding pigs when I could go home? I don't deserve to be a son, but I can go home and I can work as one of his servants and have a better life than I do now. So he decides, I'm going. So he gets up and he heads home. But get this. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, "Father, I've really messed up. I am so sorry. I don't deserve to be your son anymore, but can I just be a hired servant?" But the father's having none of it. He says, "Quick, bring the best robe, put it on him. Put a ring on his finger," restoring his sonship. "Put shoes on his feet. Hey, we're going to prepare a feast. We're going to have a great party because this son of mine who was lost is now home. See, this son who was looking for life in all the wrong places, he started by wanting the Father's stuff, but what he found was the Father's love, and it was priceless. Tim Keller refers to God in this story as the prodigal God, the lavishly loving Father. This is what kids find when they meet Christ and return home. The lavish love of God. And for many kids, that's the first time they've really experienced the love of a father. And you know what? That's all of us that have come home to Christ. We've all found the same. We've returned home and found a restoration. But our story doesn't stop there. Moving over into Matthew 28, just before Jesus ascends to heaven, he pulls his disciples together and he tells them, I want you to go. I want you to go to all the nations. Tell them about me. Make disciples. And so it's as if we in Young Life get inserted into the story of the prodigal son. We're the sons and daughters that have returned home to a restored relationship with God, and now we go to kids, they're living lives far from the Father in rebellion to him, and we go to them. They're thinking that this stuff is going to give them life, and we get to know them in their setting. And we tell them about the Father, that he's waiting for them to come home, of the price he paid to restore them to a relationship with himself, of how he's waiting to just run to them and hug them around the neck and restore them to being a son or daughter of the King. And how that in that they'll find the life that they've wanted, full and overflowing, a life of knowing him, which is priceless. This is Young Life. You know, Young Life has a strong history in the Panhandle, and we hope that this legacy continues. But that really is largely up to people like you. We want kids like Kalin to continue to hear about Jesus and return home to a loving relationship with the Father and discover the hope that is knowing God. So would you consider partnering with us financially? We have an annual budget of about $135,000. We have ministry in 6 schools, and we also have a ministry to kids with special needs. We hired a part-time administrator, and I'm also full-time on staff with Young Life. We would love for you to consider investing in the lives of kids here in the Panhandle. You know, as you've been watching this tonight, you may have been considering how you might give. You might have had a one-time gift in mind, but let me challenge you with this thought. Cut it in half and give it monthly. You'll feel it half as much, and Young Life will receive 6 times the support. We have monthly expenses just like you do, and so it's really helpful when we know what's coming in every month. And we'd also love you to think about Young Life once a month versus once a year to pray for us. We would love for people to engage with us on a more regular level, to do ministry year-round and become part of a giving team. So we'd love for you to strongly encourage you to consider monthly giving. It's a huge benefit to the area. But you know what? Here's what I know, that there are people out there that God has, he's blessed you with more, and you're inclined to give more than others. The 80-20 rule definitely applies to Young Life giving, that there are 20% of the people that provide 80% of the support. So there's some out there that I know that are more inclined to give $1,000, $3,000, $5,000. And we really need you to do that in order for us to achieve our funding goals. We're really hoping that you will invest in Young Life and in the lives of kids in that way. We need you to. And you know, or perhaps you're out there tonight and you're thinking, gosh, I would love to know more about becoming a leader. I would love to know more about what it would be like to be an adult behind the scenes. We encourage you to pray seriously about that and consider it. In the description below this video, there's a Young Life survey, so please take the time and fill it out. It's a place to let us know how you'd like to partner with us in terms of your time or financially, and it's a great place to ask questions as well. So And also, everybody that fills it out, whether you give or not, will have the opportunity to win a Chick-fil-A gift basket worth $80 to $100. So we're grateful to Chick-fil-A for them giving us that. Also, in the description below, you can give online or find the address to mail a check. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight under these really unusual circumstances. And I hope you've been blessed by it. And I hope you'll consider partnering with us as we continue to proclaim the love of God to kids, as we continue to tell kids the good news of a relationship with Jesus, who's waiting for them so that they can understand and discover that it is priceless.